Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, and thank you for joining us. The GED has seen exponential growth over the last few years. And what we want to do today is share with you what the GED is all about, answer all your frequently asked questions and any other questions that you may have. My name is Sean Swartz. I am the CEO of SK Education Solutions. We, as SK Education Solutions, are the official office of the GED in Africa. So you are speaking to the right people when you need to ask questions relating to the GED. A huge special welcome to all our new GED students and parents from all over Africa. Today, we are extremely privileged to also have Lindsay Calder with us. She is an expert in all things relating to the GED. And we are live today on YouTube, and we have made the comments facility available for you to post questions. So please, feel free to type your questions in the comments facility. We will be monitoring these questions and we'll try our best to answer all of them. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll be able to follow all our GED-related videos that we produce. And it's really, really exciting to have Lindsay with us. Just a brief background as to who she is, and you'll understand why it's great to have her. She has worked in the education industry for the last 17 years with a particular focus on international qualifications. And the GED is just that. It is an international qualification. Before joining the GED in South Africa 7 years ago, Lindsay worked for Pearson as well as City and Guilds, which are also both international qualification awarding bodies. So Lindsay, we're looking forward to learning all about the American GED from you. We have some questions, and we will, I have no doubt, have more questions coming in. But to begin with, let's just start with the very, very simple basics. So Lindsay, what is the GED?
Hi, thanks so much, Sean, and please excuse my voice. So the GED is a grade 12 equivalent. It's a high school diploma, and in most countries around the world, it's been evaluated as being equivalent to a final year of high school.
Okay, so essentially, it's the equivalent of completing high school. And specifically, tell us what are the subjects? Do we get subject choices? Can I choose a whole range of subjects? Like, how does it work?
Okay, great. While the GED is made up of essentially 8 subjects, there's 4 tests. So those 4 tests cover those 8 subject areas. And students need to complete all the content, the whole curriculum, all 4 tests. They need to pass all 4 tests to receive their GED diploma. You can't choose subjects, you need to do it all. But what is nice about the GED, and I'm sure we'll touch on it a bit more, is that it's not rote learning. It's very much application of the knowledge that you acquire through your studies preparing for your tests.
And so there are no optional subjects.
No.
You have to take the 4 exams, and you have to pass all 4 exams in order to graduate.
Yes, that's correct.
What are those? What are those exams?
So your first one is reasoning through language arts, which we typically all know as English. Then there's mathematical reasoning. Then there's science and social studies. But when we talk about the subjects like that, like social studies, it also includes history, civics and government, your geography, your economics, where your science includes your earth science, life science, those type of sciences. So although it's 4 tests, there are multiple subject areas within the tests.
Yeah, so I often get asked the question, why can't I choose which subjects? So essentially what you're saying is there are 4 exams, there are only 4 exams, and it covers these specific topics that you've spoken about, and there's really no options around to choose. Everyone does the same thing. And I think a huge advantage as to doing that is that the GED is recognized worldwide. And that means that everybody does the same exams worldwide, and that means that everybody receives and has the same GED diploma, whether you're getting it here in South Africa or whether you're getting it in Thailand or whether you're getting it in the UK. I mean, just talk to us about a little bit about the recognition of the GED.
Well, I think that's also what lends itself to its credibility, is that it's the same curriculum, the same test around the world, no matter where you test. And I think that really brings in a lot of quality assurance and credibility recognition, because there's no influence, be it from any specific country, any testing body. There's no influence on the test. So the test is recognized by 98% of universities and colleges in America, as well as many around the world. Now, when we say that, it's always important to first check with the tertiary institution where you want to study. An example is like University of the People. We know they're an online accredited American university. We know they accept the GED. We know in South Africa, the Boston City campus accepts the GED, but a lot of public universities, they don't accept students straight from the GED program into degree. So it's always important to check where you want to study, the field that you want to study before starting the GED.
Yeah, we'll get to studying in a moment, but let's go through understanding of specifically what age should a child start their GED journey.
Okay, so if we I always like to work backwards from this point, is because the testing age in South Africa, Namibia, Kenya is 17. Other international countries, it could be 18. So let's talk South Africa, Namibia, Kenya. The testing age is 17. So the earliest I would start preparing for the GED is when you're 16. And the reason for that, is because you don't want to give yourself 3 years to prepare for the GED. You're going to get bored. So I would only start preparing from the age of 16, because also at 16, you've got the maturity to analyze the content, do your critical thinking skills. If you are, let's say, a homeschooler and you're looking for a curriculum to start when you're 15, there is potentially a pre-GED bridging course that you could do to prepare yourself. But we never want to hear a student is 14 already starting to prepare for the GED in terms of the GED curriculum. It's too young.
Yeah, definitely too young. I mean, the GED, as you said, is to exit school at the equivalent of a grade 12 level. So why would a 15-year-old be doing that in the first place?
Correct. And I just want to put it out there that if there are any prep providers that are saying to students, we start on the GED curriculum when a student is 14, as a parent, that should already be a red flag for you, because students shouldn't be doing it for 3 years.
Let's just talk about those red flags for a moment. And it's actually one of the questions here, and that is, who are all the GED service providers that offer to help prepare students for the GED exams. Firstly, how do we know that these service providers are not fly-by-night, that we can trust them, that they're not going to steal our money, that they're not going to mess with the students' lives? Can we just talk a little bit around that?
Yeah, and that's a really important task, because I think from GED Africa's perspective, we definitely obviously see this, and we closely monitor it. There's certain levels. There's your GED authorized education providers, who they're allowed to use the logo. But if you see a provider with the logo, don't. Also, some just copy and paste the logo from the internet. The best is to always contact us and ask us, and we will check for you. So the best is to email us on info@ged.org.za, or phone us on 011-728-0212. It's normally best to email us, or you can email us on support@ged.org.za, and we will definitely get back to you and confirm whether it's a legitimate provider. There's definitely fly-by-nights out there, which is so sad, because the whole ethos of the GED, or the whole why the GED was started, is a second chance opportunity. And unless a person is offering it, we work very much that the GED is there as a second chance opportunity, and is there to help students with an exit level qualification. So please get in contact with us. We are more than happy to verify a prep provider before you sign up with them.
So I think also not only by email and phone, but the website, www.ged.org.za. We have put the contact details in the comments facility. That website has a huge amount of very accurate GED related information. I highly recommend that everybody that's considering doing the GED, or is already doing the GED, scan through that website and make sure they know everything that's on that website. It's really, really so important.
And I would almost break it down, sorry, Sean, while we talk about the website, is any student that is thinking of doing the GED or studying the GED, there's multiple places I just want to highlight on the website. Is read through all the frequently asked questions. I know there's a lot, but they are really important. The per subject resources, silly things like there's a guide on how to use the on-screen calculator in your test, or there's a guide to what the RLA test looks like, so you can practice the format before you actually walk into the test, as well as the how-to guides, how to create your GED.com profile, how to book a test, how to apply for an accommodation, how to reschedule a test, how to apply to SACWA, how to apply to the NQA. We've tried to put as many how-to guides on there, because we really want to encourage students to set up their own GED.com profile, to book their tests through their GED.com profile. So educate. We want to educate and equip students with the knowledge needed to do it themselves. It's important, unless you need you're buying a test voucher through Boston City campus. It's important to try and book your test yourself online. Then do a GED Ready practice test, where you can buy a voucher through the website within 2 weeks to check that you're likely to pass. We always recommend students get over 155 in the practice test before they write the test. But if it's outside of that 24-hour window and you're not ready to write, reschedule your test. There's a how-to guide. But just bear in mind, you cannot reschedule your test within 24 hours of your test date and time. So you can do it 26 hours before, but not 24. So please don't contact us to go, I should be writing in 6 hours time and I'm not ready. Unfortunately, you will lose your test fee.
Yeah, so I think that was all very important information. And as you can see on the shared screen, there are a huge amount of resources on the website.
I think it's your shared screen didn't load.
Oh, let's open it quickly over here. Here is
There we go.
Website, ged.org.za. If you click on resources, you can see here, firstly, this information guide is so important. It's got a lot of really good information in it.
And I would almost say that information guide is a summary of the website, because some people find the website a bit overwhelming with all its information. So the information guide is almost a summary of everything.
Yeah, and the how-to guides are really important. How to apply for an accommodation, how to book a test, how to reschedule a test, how to cancel a test, etc. It's all there, and it really makes it very, very easy.
I think I send students links to those how-to guides on a daily basis. It really is all there. And as much, we're always very, very happy to help students, but just go and have a look there first, because it is often helpful. And although we will always send you the correct link and guide you where to go find the information, it is available.
So what's really important is understanding how the tests work. And let's just discuss that briefly. I think we need to cover that in a little bit more detail. So we've discussed what the tests are, but how do I write it? Do I use a pen and paper? Where do I write it? Can I write it online at home? How does that all work?
Okay, perfect. So when we say the GED tests are online, it doesn't mean they're online that you can write at home. They're online at a testing center. And why it's important that the tests are written at an accredited testing center is for test security. And you want the GED test to have test security because it increases the credibility of the test. So if you're in South Africa, you can write at any Boston City campus or the Sandton Pearson View testing center. You can either book online through your GED.com portal, or for Boston, you can buy a voucher through them if you don't have a credit card. In Namibia, we really please book through your GED.com profile. You don't need to phone the test center to book. The test center is PCCS in Windhoek. Now, if you have a testing accommodation that's been approved, you need to book through the call center, through the accommodations department. You cannot book online on your own. And the reason for that is they need to make sure that the test center has the availability for your accommodation. So if you need extra time or you need your own room or anything like that, that is why the testing within accommodation is a different process, because they need to check the test center has availability for your accommodation. Now, when you're booking or when you're actually setting up your GED.com profile, it is so important that your GED.com profile 100% matches your ID. If it doesn't, we obviously do the check before through your eligibility, through your jurisdiction alert. But on the day of your test, you must take your original valid ID, government issued ID. And that ID must have 4 sets of identification. It must have your full name, your date of birth, your photo, and your signature. So if you have the South African Smart ID, that meets all those requirements. If you have the old Green Book ID, which most younger students shouldn't have, then you either need to take a bank issued card, which has your name and your signature, or an affidavit that you signed at the police station. But if you rock up at the test on the test day and you don't have your original ID, you will not be allowed to test and you will forfeit your test fee because they cannot prove it as you. Now, the test center takes on that responsibility, because if they don't enforce that rule, how do we prove that you are the person you're saying you are? And how do we maintain the credibility of the GED? So it's not the test center being mean or ugly. It is important for the reputation of the GED, which works in your favor because you're doing the GED. You want governments around the world and tertiary institutions around the world to recognize and trust the GED. Now, when you go in, you obviously want to get there half an hour before your test. When you go in, you are not allowed to take anything but your ID in with you to the test. No calculators are allowed. As we said, you get given an on-screen calculator. You cannot take pen and paper. The test center will give you a whiteboard with a marker that you can use. If they don't, just ask them. You go in, it's an online test at the test center. Now, if for any reason anything happens during the test to your system or anything, and I know it's daunting going into a test center and there's all these people you don't know, but if anything happens, just put your hand up and the test administrator will come to you. Please, we often get afterwards, I had a problem on my test. I was too shy to put my hand up and tell the test administrator. Please put your hand up and ask the test administrator. It's a lot easier for us to deal with it if the test administrator has gotten involved, logged a case or anything. Now, if we all know in South Africa, load shedding. If for any reason there's load shedding during your test, and should the test be interrupted or not happen, the process is that the test center will log a case. That case will go to Pearson, and you're more than welcome to email us with your GED ID number and your case number for us to escalate. But you will, if it was affected by load shedding, America's aware of load shedding, and they are almost flagging load shedding cases to try and speed them up. You will get a retest voucher to retest again. We know it's unfortunate. We know it's not nice to have to go through that experience, and we are sorry, but we will help you speed up that process. So if there's load shedding,
it's really important on the load shedding process, so that everyone is aware, which is really good news, and that is all the testing sites around the country have either already installed a backup generator or an inverter with a battery, or they are in the process of doing so. And so there will be a lot less people affected by load shedding during tests. Obviously, with 4 hours at a time, it can become a problem, but in general, Boston City Campus is making an effort to ensure that you don't get affected. If we can just move on from here, and that is, how do I know? Well, before we continue, let's just ask Tanya's question before we come back to that. Tanya's saying she has a 16-year-old daughter. She started at the age of 16, and she's studying for the test. She's registering for a year program. At the end of the year program, she's going to be finished her license to access her learning material, and then and only then will her daughter be turning 17. Will she need to register again in order to write the exams? And part and parcel of that same question, I'm going to ask another one, and that is, do I have to write all the exams in the same week?
Okay, so Tanya, we often get it is the online learning resources are separate to the GED. What I would recommend is that you renew your license with the provider where you bought it, so that your daughter can prepare for the tests. There are students, and you're more than welcome to, is they prepare when they are 16, when they turn 17, then they do revision and go and write. You can definitely do that. There's two options on how students can do it, and this will go back to your question, Sean, is Students can, if they want, if they're 17, study one subject at a time, write that one subject, and then move on to the next. In the case of Tanya's daughter, she would study the content, then when she turns 17, do revision, and then she can structure how she wants to write her GED test. The whole beauty of the GED is its flexibility in terms of you can book and write for your GED test when you are ready. There's no set exam period. And so if for any reason you fail, you don't have to wait 6 months to a year to rewrite. You can rewrite when you're next ready to rewrite. But it comes down to you can book and write when you're ready. The test centers are open, I would say, about 50 weeks of the year. They just close over the Christmas period or Christmas, New Year festive season. And some test centers even have Saturday dates for those students that work. So it's just you, through your profile, log in, pick your test center, pick an available date. If you're picking up issues when you're trying to book, there might be multiple reasons. It might be first you have an alert, be it an age alert, an eligibility alert, or a jurisdiction alert. You might not be of the age, or if you've moved countries, you would need to change your profile jurisdiction to the country where you want to write, and that you'd need to go through help@ged.com, send in that request and explain why you want to change your jurisdiction.
I think it's really important with what you just said, and that is that exams are available nearly every single day of the year.
Yeah.
And I want to actually make it to distinguish something, and that is the GED has absolutely nothing to do with the service providers or the schools that are teaching you and helping you prepare. They have no control whatsoever over you as a GED student as to when you want to write the exams. They can't say to you, you can't write it because you haven't paid us. It's got nothing to do with them. We as a testing body allow testing for anybody that is 17 or older that has, in South Africa, a South African identity document. No school can stop you from writing. And you can choose whenever you want to write. You can write maths first, you can write science first. It makes no difference to us. You can book in any order you want, whenever you want. If you want to do one exam when you're 17, 2 exams when you're 18, and 1 exams on the 20th of December when you turn 19, that's also fine with us. We don't care. It's got nothing to do with a 12-year period. I see a lot of questions have come up relating to a 12-month period. Obviously, preparing for the GED, a lot of people are buying online learning material that only lasts 12 months. But if that expires, it's got nothing to do with your tests. Your tests do not expire.
And I think that's very important, is the GED is valid as long as the curriculum stays the same. In, I think it was 2017, 2018, the new curriculum became available. So the curriculum is not going to change for a long time. So your GED test is, if you've done 2 tests and you still need to do another 2, it's going to be valid for a good few years. And a lot of people are getting confused between the online learning resources and the test. A lot of the online learning resources that students are using to prepare for the tests, that license is valid for 12 months. But you can renew that license, maintain all your studying to date. It's just a license period that you would renew.
Yep, absolutely.
They're very
I think
separate.
that answers Rosemary's question, and that is, can you do one subject at a time, or do you have to do them all at once? We highly recommend that you actually do one subject at a time. It takes the pressure off the students. There's no reason to do them all at the same time. And also, one builds on the next, because the GED is all about critical thinking skills. It's got nothing to do with learning anything off by heart. If you try and learn off by heart for the GED, I'm willing to bet that you will fail your exam. It's all about critical thinking skills. And so as you develop your critical thinking skills, you get better and better at the test. So there's no point in studying all 4 subjects at the same time.
And I think that's why GED students do so well also later in life, is because they've developed those critical thinking skills. They've developed how to take information and apply it within various scenarios versus a curriculum where a student just has to parrot learn and go into the test and just write what they've learned off by heart. It's GED students do very well, and it is such critical skills that you're learning, your argumentative writing. And that is why GED students do so well, is because of those skills that they develop. And as Sean said, the skills from one subject build onto the next. So some providers do all 4 subjects at once, but the beauty of the GED is the flexibility, is that you can do one subject at a time. So you focus on that one subject, and then you can move on to the next. But saying that, I do know some authorized education providers that do all 4 subjects at once. That is also fine. It is your choice when choosing how and where you want to study as to how you study.
So my next question is, how do I know that I'm ready to write the final exam? I look at the price and I see it's $80. It may not sound a lot, but when you convert that into African rands at 1,400 Rand approximately, it is a huge amount of money. And so I don't want to throw that money away and just fail the exam. How do I know that I'm ready to write that exam?
Yeah. So what is wonderful is they've developed a GED Ready practice test. So it is exactly half the full test, but it's been developed by the same people that developed the GED test. And it's the official GED test. And it's $7 now, or 130 Rand plus VAT. It is the best way. It's been developed to give you an indication as to whether you are likely to pass the test, as well as to give you a report which tells you the areas you need to study to improve. Now, it's not going to say to you, okay, you need to go and study page XYZ, because remember, the GED is about the skills. So it'll say to you, you need to improve these skills. And we normally say to people, and it's probably high, is aim to get at least 155, a score of 155 in your GED Ready practice test before you want to write your test. Now, if you've scheduled your test and you've done your GED Ready practice test 2 weeks before, and you're getting a score of 134, go and reschedule your GED test. You don't want to be wasting that $80. Reschedule it for a month or 2 later. There is no cost to reschedule your GED test, and keep practicing those skills. You can do more than one GED Ready practice test, but they are so, so important in your preparation for your test. Don't waste your money of just buying or booking your test for $80 if you haven't passed and done well in your GED Ready practice test. Some countries enforce that you do the practice test before the test.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we highly recommend that everybody does it. It's much cheaper. It's approximately 10% of the price of an final exam. Do it. It's worth every cent. It helps you prepare for the final exams. We've just put the link on the comments facility. So if you do want to purchase it, you can purchase a voucher online. You get the voucher immediately and you can do a practice test.
Now, I know some learning resources have assessments and tests built into them. That is great. Do those, but also do the GED Ready practice test. We've got the vouchers on the GED website for students that don't have credit cards, that they can pay through PayFast. But even if your online learning resources have tests and assessments in them, still do the GED Ready Practice 1. The more test preparation you do, the better you're going to do.
And just a quick question, and then we'll move on from exams. And that is, what is the pass mark?
Very good question. So students need to achieve at least 145 out of 200 to pass their test. Now, you can't convert it to a percentage. The amount of times I answer this question is crazy. The GED score is a raw score. You cannot convert it to a percentage. So don't try and go, okay, I got 150, so therefore I got X percent. The GED score, it is not convertible to a percentage. It is a raw score. We do have...
I get 143. Oh, can't you just push my mark up for me?
Even if you get 144, I still can't. And we obviously do get asked quite often. We do, even, it's not, you missed it by 1 point. The way it's calculated, it could be more than that. But unless you get 145, you have not passed. If you need explanations on how to convert your score to GPA in America, or why the nitty-gritty detail of why you can't convert your score to a percentage, it's on the frequently asked questions on the ged.org.za website. But yeah, we cannot give you a mark. We will never ever give you 1 mark so you pass, and we don't convert to percentage.
So I got 144. I don't want to rewrite this test. I want to send it in for a remark. Can I do that?
So you can only apply for a rescore on the RLA test, English. Honest, in 7 years of being with the GED, I haven't seen the result change because the marking is so thorough. So, and at $50 a rescore, we from our side advise that it's not worth it. You are more than welcome to go ahead with it, and some students do. But from my experience, I would rather invest in studying a bit further and then rewriting.
Yeah, so we highly recommend, don't waste your money with a rescore. Yeah. You're literally throwing that money away. Rather just study a little bit more, rewrite the exam, and you can move on from there. Yeah. I know I did say we were going to move away from the exams, but the exams are the most important part because it's all around the exam. So one last question, and then we'll move on to studying further. And that is, I failed. Can I rewrite?
You can. So what I would start with doing is I would first go and look at your score report on your GED.com profile to see your areas of weakness. So go and work through your score report. You can book and write when you're ready. You don't have to, there's no waiting period on your first 3. If for any reason you fail 3 times, then for every test thereafter, there is a 60-day waiting period. Because a student shouldn't be booking, writing, failing, writing, failing, booking, writing, failing repeatedly. So they enforce after the 3rd attempt a 60-day waiting period to make students go and properly study. But if you do fail, and sometimes you just have a bad exam day, it's not the end of the world. Go and download your score report, go and do your revision, do another GED Ready practice test. Maybe you're getting nervous in the test, and then book and go rewrite again.
Sorry, Lindsay, we've lost your sound.
Am I back?
Yes, good.
Okay,
good. Okay.
Sorry.
So just let's just move on now and discuss. I've passed my 4 exams. Once I pass all 4, I receive my diploma. I'm now a GED graduate. Can I study further at, let's start with South Africa. Can I study further in South Africa at a public university? Can I register at a public university such as WITS, UJ, UCT to do an undergraduate degree straight away? What is the answer? Is it yes or no?
No.
No. Okay. So that answers the question straight away, which we get asked all the time. Please, if anybody has told you that you can do your GED and then get into a public university directly into an undergraduate degree, it is false. It is not going to happen. You will not get in.
And that should be another red flag for you.
Absolutely. We see it, and please, that's why we're being very blunt here and saying you will not get into a public university to do any undergraduate degree with the GED. However, in South Africa. However, there are a huge amount of different opportunities to study further and to still get degrees, both in South Africa and overseas.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So within South Africa, you've got your Boston City campus, where you can go straight into degree programs, except accounting, or you can go and do a higher certificate. So a popular question is, I want to study teaching. You can go to the IIE group, do a higher certificate in early childhood development, and then move on to the degree program. A recent question I've had a few times is law. You can go to Boston and study law straight from the GED. There are a lot of there's a lot of alternatives in the private tertiary route that you can study. And from there, if you really then wanted to move into a government university, you can investigate the opportunities that way. But it's important
can we just explain what that means? Well, I'd like to just explain that briefly, just so that people understand. If you already get your undergraduate degree from a place like Boston, you've got a degree. Once you've got a degree, you can potentially, and I'm not guaranteeing it, but you can potentially use that degree to apply and be accepted at another university to do an honors degree or a master's or whatever it may be. But that's once you have an undergraduate degree. To go directly into a public university, no. Let's just talk accounting. You mentioned you can't do accounting, but actually there is a way of doing accounting at a place like Boston. If you do the higher certificate first, then once you've got your higher certificate, which is a one-year course, you can then get into the BCom degree at Boston, and you could even go all the way to become a chartered accountant. Yes. So the GED gives you many, many opportunities. What doesn't it give you? Can you study medicine?
I was actually about to say, if we're being honest, let's get honest. If you're looking at doing medicine, veterinary science, physio falls under medicine, as well as engineering, maybe don't consider the GED, because you're not going to get in to study medicine or engineering. It always breaks my heart when someone contacts me to say, I'm studying the GED and my dream, I want to study veterinary science. Students with 10 distinctions are not getting in. Please, every curriculum has their place and their reason, but if you want to study medicine, let's rather look at a different curriculum. And we are happy to advise you on the different curriculums. We understand all the different curriculums, their pros and cons. So we're happy to advise you, but you need to know your roots with each curriculum.
Absolutely. I think it's very important. And we always stress this. We often get asked the question, can I study whatever it is, X, Y, Z, with a GED? And we don't know those answers because we don't know the universities and all the colleges that are out there. So we always tell everybody, we highly recommend that before you even start the GED, you investigate and speak to the college or the university and the faculty specifically that you want to study at, and ask them, once I get my GED, will I be able to apply to study here to do the specific course? And if they say yes, that's great. If they say no, at least you know upfront, without wasting time and money doing something that you won't be able to use to study further.
And also remember the GED is an international curriculum, so you want to be speaking to the international admission advisors.
Right, and let's talk about international. You're doing the GED, it's highly recognized in over 90 countries around the world. There are more than 20 million graduates that have done the GED. South Africa or Namibia or Kenya are not the only options to study further. Why can't I study at an American online university?
Exactly. And I think we had in our previous webinar, we actually had a graduate who was currently studying through University of the People and loving it. A lot of
what is University of the People?
University of the People is an online American accredited university. It is a very good, credible, and highly recognized university. But when we hear America, we think, oh, I'm never going to afford that. But University of the People is very reasonably priced. Its fees are very comparable to South African university fees. And because often GED students are used to studying online, it suits them. You can study degrees through University of the People, which is internationally recognized as well. So it's important to think in a wider space when you're looking at further study options.
Will a GED graduate be able to study at the University of the People?
Yes, they can go straight into degree programs.
Excellent. That is a great thing to know. And it's a wonderful.
And it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg either. It is very affordable. And
it's highly recognized. It's an American degree that you're going to get at the end of the day. I mean, and it's accredited, highly accredited. What's the problem with that? I think it's an amazing opportunity to do.
And I just want to put a little disclaimer there. We are not associated or linked with the University of the People. We believe, we just think it is a good option for students, for an international option, an affordable option, which is why we promote it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another question here. What is a higher certificate? I know we mentioned it earlier, and so the question came through.
Great question, actually. So the GED in South Africa is evaluated in NQF level 4. The NQF is a national qualifications framework, which is managed by SAQA, South African Qualifications Authority. If you were in school, you did a grade matric or grade 12, that's also evaluated at NQF level 4. A higher certificate is a tertiary institution qualification that is at NQF level 5, where the first year of a degree is NQF level 6. So it's just the levels of education going up.
And so what's the point of it? So why would I do a higher certificate?
So with an NQF level 5, then you would be able to get into an NQF level 6 easier. You can go up a level at a time.
By doing that, you're actually finishing and receiving a certificate that is at a higher level than a matric, which is incredible because you have something to add to your CV. And it's not a waste of a year because it's your pathway. You could, once you've got a higher certificate, apply to do a degree, an undergraduate degree. Not only will you be able to apply, but many of the universities and colleges, let's use Boston City campus as an example, they will transfer credits that you've received in your higher certificate towards your degree. Yeah. So you're not even wasting time. You're just going through a pathway to get through your studies.
100%.
Good. I want to briefly just cover a very important topic, and that is questions and answers that we've been doing right now for the last 50 minutes. And you can see there's so much to talk about, but there's always so many different questions available. And so because of that, what we have done, we have created a Facebook group, which is designed specifically to ask and answer questions. And we invite all of you to join that group. There are over 8,500 people around the world that already have joined this group. They ask questions all the time, and some of them even answer questions. And so that's a really, really amazing, good, and useful resource. We monitor the group to make sure that the information is accurate as well. And so we have put the link to the Facebook group in the chat facility. So we highly recommend that you all go and join that group as well, so that at any point in time, you can always ask questions. Obviously, there's no advertising of service providers on that group. It's a pure service that we as the GED Africa provide to the wider community that are interested in GED.
Yeah.
So the next question is, are there any options to collect credits to go on to study, say, engineering?
It would have to depend on the institution and where you do it, and also what type of engineering and what level of engineering. Like I know the AIE group, I know they accept GED students for engineering. I'm not too sure what level, but if you want to study mechanical engineering degree at FITS, I would possibly look towards doing a different grade 12 alternative.
And I think a very important reason behind that is the mathematics that we teach in the GED. It's not at the highest pure maths level. And because of that, engineering students may struggle a little bit with engineering because of our level of maths. We often get asked the question, is your maths lit, or is it pure maths? And what is the answer?
I would say it's about 60% maths lit, 40% maths. It's also it's very much, it because of those skills that you need. Students who, let's say at mainstream school, are struggling with maths, they will be okay because it's those skills you need versus just parrot learning components. I'm sure people would have already picked up when we were talking about the further study options, is our focus here is to help students in Africa with the GED. And our whole reason for it is honesty. We are not here to make sales. We are here to service the GED community, and we will always give the honest truth, whether it's advising someone to do the GED or it's advising someone to do an alternative curriculum, and we'll always explain the reasoning. But our sole focus is to service GED through Africa, students, providers, everyone. And that is why also we make sure that people market correctly. If you pick up someone who is incorrectly using the GED logo, incorrectly telling information to students that is wrong, please come to us. We will investigate. We want students to be given the correct information. We want students to have the best experience, and we want students, we understand students are giving time of their lives and putting effort and money into achieving their GED. And we want to maintain the credibility of that GED so they can go on in life with a credible, recognized credential.
Yeah, I think that's really very, very important to understand. And part of our job as well is ensuring that the service providers, as you said, market correctly. And that brings me to the last question here, and that is, we've mentioned some red flags pertaining to some service providers. Are there any other red flags? So I'm going to give my few, and then you can give more. If anybody ever tells you that you can come and do matric, then you know that they have not been vetted by us, and you should not be trusting them. GED is not matric. GED is the closest equivalent option that you can do that is considered similar to a grade 12. We never use the word matric. If anyone is using the word matric, run a mile and report them to us. I think also very important is that the highly recognized GED providers are all authorized education partners. While Lindsay continues explaining what that is, we're going to put a link on the comments facility that will show all our authorized education partners.
Yeah, so an authorized education partner or an AEP, they have been evaluated by the GED and they've signed an agreement with the GED to follow certain rules. But they've been through a quality assurance process by the GED in America, and they've met the GED requirements. They're monitored by the GED. I would also say another red flag is if a provider says to you, it's a 3-year preparation for the GED. No, it's not. It should be 1, max 2 years. If they say students start preparing when they're 14 is too young.
And there's also no grades. That's part of what you're saying. The GED does not have grades. If anybody tells you that you're going to start grade 10 GED, run a mile. Yeah. It's just not the way it works.
And I think also if they're promising you that you can go study at a public university, you can go study at a public university with a bursary, any of that, it's not. And also there are multiple ways to prepare for your GED test. One, what we recognize with the GED is that one way doesn't fit all students. Whether a student studies online, using textbooks, using a combination, studies on their own at home, studies at a school or at a tutor center or at a cottage school. There's multiple ways. But feel free to check. And that is why
we've put, and it's in the comments facility at the bottom, there's a link that we've put, and that link will show a list with contact details of only the authorized education partners in Africa. And so if they're not on the list, they may still be very reputable. We've got no problem with that. There are certain service providers that are not ready to go through the authorized education partner process.
Yeah.
And so just contact us, email us on info@ged.org.za. We will very quickly tell you whether they are reputable or not, and then you can move ahead and register and study. Please don't just jump in and register with anybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and we got asked, what is the name of the group on Facebook that I mentioned? So we provided the link. The link is facebook.com/groups/GED chat. So the name of the group is GED chat, but easier way is if you just click on the link, it will take you straight to the group, and then you can click to join the group.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've been talking a lot. It's been an hour. We always cut off our sessions at an hour, but feel free to contact us at any point in time. We're always here to help you. Thank you for joining us and listening to us chat. Lindsay, thank you so much from your side for giving of your time to chat and discuss everything related to the GED. And to everybody, thank you for the time. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.